Today we can understand what the generative AI program one it means. Before going to start the experiment, let's first understand a particular things. In the last video, we can understand what is meant by generative AI and where it should be used and why we keep the generative AI in your syllabus. Now we can understand the program 1 for generative AI. What the program 1 will contains means the program 1 of the generative AI should be explore a pre-trained word vectors. Means we can explore a pre-trained word vectors and explore word relationships using vector arithmetic, perform arithmetic operations and analyze results. The question of this experiment should be this. This question has three parts. Means the first, explore pre-trained vectors. What it mean explore pre-trained vectors? Means we use a word embedding models. Means we have different embedding models like word2vec and global vector. So we can use a word embedding model that has already been trained on a particular large amounts of test data or a massive data. These models will use to convert a particular word into a numerical forms called as a vectors. Because why need to convert the particular word into a vector? Because the computer doesn't understand what the word base meaning doesn't understand the meaning of a word computer, so it can convert a particular word into a vector form that is called as a numerical form. The second part is explore word relationships using arithmetic. Vector arithmetic means we perform mathematical operations on these vectors. Means we can perform different relationships between the words. For example, we can take king minus man plus woman equal to what? Queen, because we can extract the male character. The king is the male. We can extract male. Male minus man, man minus man, it equal to 0 plus woman. Woman, we can decode the male character. Gender character means it is a queen. So this shows that the model understands the relationship between the words, and this is about the second part. And the third part will perform arithmetic operations and analyze results. Means we run these operations using a Python, observe the output and check whether the results are meaningfully correct or not. So the main objective of the experiment or a program is to use pre-trained word embedding model, perform vector arithmetic on words and understand the relationships between them. In short, we can short of the question. In this experiment, we use a pre-trained word-to-vec model to represent words as numerical vectors. We then perform vector arithmetic to explore relationships between words and analyze the results to understand how word embeddings capture meaning. Now we want to move on a program and step-by-step explanation of a code. Okay, first, before going to start a particular program of AI, we can install the required libraries. What the required libraries should do to do for an experiment of program 1 means the program 1 contains an word2vec module. So the gensim will contain a different modules. So we can install gensim. The command is pip install gensim specify. What is meant? The gensim is used to load a particular module of like an we use in this module like word2vec and specify. Specify means scientific Python. You use to find out the cosine similarity between the words to use a specify library to install a cosine. And after installing the required libraries, we can import the libraries from the modules from installed libraries. Okay, import gensim.downloader as API. Gensim is a Python library and downloader is a modulo of that library, and API is called as a alias name, or we can shortly called as a short name we taken to load or download a particular module. We can take as a API. From specify, next command, from specify dot spatial dot distance import cosine. Means from specify is a Python library. In that we have a modules. Means the mathematical ruler is used to measure a spatial distance, and if you want to work modules, and we can import a cosine. Why need to import a cosine? What is the use? In next we can under means cosine is used to find out the similarity between the words, or we can find out the similarity between the or distance between the two words. Means as we can see in the diagram, means we have a dictionary of words. The words the computer doesn't understand the word meanings, so we can convert the word in a vector form, so it called as a vector form. Next we can, after installing a particular libraries, then we can import the libraries, then we can print the load the module. How we load the module? The space of the module. Means we can load a particular module called as a word to vec. What is meant by word to vec? It is a module that used, means that is already trained on a Google News. Means the Google News is a data which the word to vec module will be trained on a Google News data, and 300 is the, and each word will have in representation in the vector form, that each word have a 300 dimensions vector form. This is the print loading word to vec module. This is the print of the heading, and module is equal to, as we can import a libraries from the previous command lines code of code API.load. We can load a module. Which module we can use? Word to vec, which is trained on a Google News, and each word will be represented in a 300 vector forms. And print module loaded successfully. After completing the module loaded, we can print a particular module. Printing message, we can give a message that module loaded successfully. What the size of the module should be loaded is about 1662.8 MB of the size of the module. Next, after loading the module, we can perform an vector operations. Means we can consider a variable called vector. Vector is equal to module king, and king is a vector. King is a word. Means after king, if the computer doesn't understand what is king, we can convert king into a vector form. Means the each king is a word, the king will convert it into a 300 dimensions vector form. As we can see in the diagram, the king is a word. We can give to a module. The module will convert the king word into a 300 dimension vectors and print first 10 dimensions. Means we can have a 300 dimensions vectors. In that we can print the first 10 dimensions. How to print? Print vector colon 10 slash n. Why we use in front of 10 colon? Because the first 10 dimensions are print. Means after, before and after 10 we can use a column. Means the printer after 10 dimensions should be printed on the output. Next, after printing the word, this is the this condition. Next we want to move. Means we can print a top similar words of a particular word. Means this is an heading. Print top 10 words most similar to king. How to print a top similar words? Means the tops in a module of the word vocabulary. King is a word. Means it is represented in a vector form. What are the similar words that will have king consist of? As we can see in the diagram, the king is the target vector. The similar words are to find. Means the ruler is a king and ruler will have a far distance. They have no similarity. The similarity will be should be high. The king and prince is a very short distance means the king and prince are very similar. This type the model should be calculated the similarity between the words by using a most similar means for word it is a for loop. For every word should the model should be checked which word is similar to a for particular word. For word similarity in module dot most similar. The most similar is used to find out the similarity of a particular word in a model vocabulary. King. The king is there to find the word of a king similarity to find a particular word king. After for condition, we can print the result. How to print f word. The word for each word which are similar to a king, the word will be printed and similarity. How much will have similar? We have a vector form, okay, numerical representation that will be represented dot 4f means we can print the 4 decimals and print of we can print the result. This is about a pre-trained models. We can perform a first stage of the experiment. Next we can move on to the next step called as a word embeddings means they have relationship between the words. The first one is analogy. We can take an analogy operations called king minus man plus woman because the result we can store result is equal to module dot more similar. Why need to separate positive and negative? The computer doesn't understand which word is a positive meaning and which word is a negative meaning. So we can separate positive and negative to find the similarity between the relationship of the objects. The positives are king and woman and negative are man. Comma top n is equal to 1. What is meant by top n is equal to 1? The best result should be printed. You can see in the diagram the king of a similar words you find the prince will be printed for this result. Why this print? Means we can use top n because the best similarity pair is prints. And print analogy what we perform king minus man plus woman. What we get the answer after result means the result get as a queen. How to get a queen? The king is a man and man minus man is a woman. Man minus man is equal to 0 plus woman and woman is a queen. After how to print result? Print f result means which result will be printed. 0 0 means we can print a particular word. And similarity 0 1 dot 4 a 4 decimal should be printed for the word printed and similarity should be printed. And next analogy should be performed print analogy like it is called as a verb analogy. Verb analogy means we can walking plus swimming minus what equal to what. Means same we can print as we can print it on the topmost layers means we can use it in different positive and negative words should be separated. For word similarity in module dot more similar, positive is equal to walking, swimming comma negative is equal to walk means we can print a particular word called as a print f word and similarity dot for a 4 decimal should be printed. And we can suggest to write for this analogy. Analogy is Paris plus Italy minus France. What the answer should we get? We can try it in our and write a code for this analogy. It is a word analogy, and this is the part of the word analogy. Next, this is the second part. We next move on to the third part of the program. What the third part means? We can find the similarity between the vectors. How to find the similarity? We can use specify as we can import it in the first and install the Python library called specify. Why need to import? We can import to find the distance between the two words. We can tell if similarity is a variable, similarity is equal to 1 minus cosine. Cosine is an advanced mathematical operation to find out the distance between the two words. Cosine is equal to module king. We can use two words like king and queen. Module king and module queen means you can the similarity will be stored on the similarity and print f cosine similarity between king and queen is the print variable. What we store the result in similarity, that result will printed on the this type dot for a 4 decimal should be printed. As you can see in the diagram, this distance should be calculated from these lines of code. This of the distance should be calculated in such a way that this is about the program overview and program line by line code explanation. Now that we understand the question and what the program will contains, let's move on to the